what was going on with the offensive line and what you saw in terms of how things may be shifting in terms of personnel.
Yeah, I think the big surprise last week is that it looks like rookie guard center Jared Wilson has been demoted. And he was someone I want to say in like day 5 at camp surpassed Cole Strange as a team's starting left guard. Like, and everyone was praising him. I think like Caden Wallace said like this guy is really bleeping good. And like that was sort of the thing. It was like Jared Wilson's really good. He's a plug and play starter. And all of a sudden, last week in Minnesota, day 2 of joint practices, he's not with the starters at the beginning of camp. And the only thing I wondered was if he was healthy because he didn't seem to participate much at all. However, in the preseason game, he participated with the second team unit. He played left guard with the backups, and then he played center with the backups. And Ben Brown, all of a sudden, has been the team's starting left guard. And Mike Vrabel even said after the game they don't know who the starter is at that point. A little late, I would say, in the summer to not know who your starting left guard is. And I'm thinking about it. Dating back to OTAs, I think there's been 5 guys in that
Wow.
starting spot. It's been Cole Strange, Caden Wallace, Jared Wilson, now Ben Brown, and also there was like a practice of someone named Tyrese Robinson. So that competition that we all thought was over is not over, guys. It could be Ben Brown, sort of a journeyman, started 10 games at center last year. So I'd say it's a little concerning, if they can't figure that out, but it looks like they're trying.
Ben Brown, if I remember correctly, you said journeyman. Didn't they pick him up like 4 days before game 1 of the season last year off the street or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, they signed him off the Raiders practice squad.
So yeah, and they shoved him in to be the starting center, and he wasn't very good. And now he's your starting left guard over Cole Strange. Two things: if Ben Brown is your starter at left tackle, is that good? And B, based on what you're seeing, does that mean Cole Strange may not make this team?
Yeah, they've been playing Cole Strange also at right guard, but I don't. I'm at the point where I think Cole Strange is on the chopping block. I don't even know if you could trade him. I do wonder if the knee injury he suffered a couple years ago, which was very serious, it sort of hurt him in terms of his development and his play. I think he was known for like a fast, athletic, guard, which is why people had him as a day 2 prospect, not necessarily a day 1 like Bill. But I don't think it's necessarily a good thing if Ben Brown's your starting left guard. It just goes to show like at this point in the summer, I mean what season is a couple weeks away that there's still uncertainty at a pretty important spot. So yeah, I don't think it's great. I thought Ben Brown, he played okay in the preseason, which is I guess what you want to see. I thought he didn't look very good in one-on-ones in Minnesota. He got beat pretty handily in the last day when I saw him going up against the starters. So a little bit of uncertainty there. But I don't know, would you rather have like a guy who started 10 games for you last year or a rookie who's struggling? I guess you go with the guy who started 10 games for you last year.
Yeah, and so okay, so Cole Strange, we've heard about Duggar. Let's just go to Duggar. Duggar's someone if they, he's not playing. Like
Right.
he's not even second string. I mean, there he was. If I'm not mistaken, Mark, there was it Peppers that was out. Who am I thinking of? Peppers that
Yep.
came out, and he wasn't the immediate replacement for him. It was a guy I've never heard of before. So I mean that doesn't mean anything. But it's a guy that I'd never heard of before. Duggar's is an odd man out. I mean that just seems obvious. But he's someone. There's a belief you could get something back for. Is that true?
It depends if someone's willing to pay him the money. He has a base salary of almost 10 million. I mean, right now his cap hit, guys, is 15.2 million, which is makes him the second highest cap hit on the team. You can't really cut him. I mean, I guess theoretically, if you just want to eat 20 something million in dead cap money, you could. But I mean, I'd rather keep him as a backup as opposed to just eating that cap hit. But if you can find someone to actually trade for him, you can actually clear the contract pretty easily. It's just dependent if you find someone who thinks he fits better in their system. And I think that's sort of what it's about with Mike Vrabel. But yeah, Jabril Peppers and Jalen Hawkins have been the 2 starting
Yeah,
safeties, and the
Hawkins.
top backup has been rookie Craig Wilson, who they have playing both strong and free safety. And it has left Kyle Duggar with the backups and third stringers. And I think anytime a veteran like that is playing at the end of the fourth quarter, it's a team saying, "Hey guys, this guy's available," right? Sort of like with Anthony Jennings too, a guy who started last year, fits better in Belichick's system as opposed to Vrabel's. He's playing at the end of the fourth quarter. It's like, hey. if anyone wants these guys, they're available. And usually it doesn't take much, whether it's a player for player swap or a late round pick swap. But with Kyle Duggar, you just signed him to a 4-year, $58 million contract last year. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
it might be tough to move him because of the money, unless you find someone who really, really likes him at 29 years old.
Okay, and then finally, with someone I've heard rumors of maybe being moved on from, and this is more of a positive for other people than it is a negative for him, is Rhamondre Stevenson, just because Henderson has been so good, and do you want to take a bunch of carries away from him? What do you think about Stevenson? Is there any way he doesn't make the team or gets traded?
I would be surprised. TreVeyon looks outstanding. Honestly, the fastest player I think I've seen at training camp, other than maybe Wes Welker. Wes just moved differently, but so does TreVeyon. But the knock on him in college was health and durability. And you see, he's a smaller guy. So for that reason, I would absolutely keep Rhamondre at least this year. Keep him, Henderson, Stevenson, and Antonio Gibson. And I think you have three, running backs that can sort of mix and match. And I think that's to the Pats' benefit. And I think as they get going here in the season, if Rhamondre can get healthy, you might actually have a nice 1-2 complement. And I like TreVeyon. I think he could be your best offensive weapon, certainly your most explosive, but you have to protect the kid, especially someone he's built like a third down back with his size, but he plays like someone who could, hurt the opposing defense on every touch. And I think if you were to trade or release Rhamondre, you just take away some of that really good depth you have. I would keep that. But the guy you brought up though, like even like Stevenson, Duggar, hell, Jennings, they all signed contracts last year. You think about that offseason, guys, right? That 2024 offseason doesn't really look great for the Patriots. You extended a lot of guys. It's not working out. That draft class, other than Drake May, is not working out. So I think Rhamondre stays. But yeah, tough look for the 2024 offseason.
I think for TreVeyon, I think you hit the nail on the head, because 2 years ago he played in 10 games. He came back and was healthier in his final year, played more games, ended up with fewer carries and more yards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you've probably tapped into what the Patriots at least could be thinking about him, and
but
should
you
be
could
thinking
carry
about him.
three backs, but do you want how? But then it becomes a matter of taking carries away from the guy. So my point would be this: is that sure he's not you don't want him carrying the ball 250 times this year. I mean, you don't want him going crazy, but you might want him to, if he's your best offensive player, him on the field more often than not. And so you have Gibson that could take some of those carries away. Do you just want to have a guy making that kind of money and having and like splitting carries? I know the Lions do it with Gibbs.
And it sucks because it's a tough pill to swallow when he could be carrying the ball, but it's so that he's more effective on the carries he does have, and he's there until the end of the season.
Right, but if I want him in on first and second down, if I want him in second and third downs, I mean, I don't know. It gets to be a thing. Because could it be like a Lions thing where you have Rhamondre Stevenson for one? This is exactly what the Lions do. They'll have Rhamondre Stevenson. They'll have what's his face in for Montgomery in for a series, and then Gibbs in for a series. That's the way they played him. Mm-hmm. I mean, but is Stevenson as good as Montgomery? Probably not. So I don't know. How do you think you handle the two?
I love the comp because Jahmyr Gibbs was just another guy, like super fast. He can catch the ball. He's also a bit smaller. So what the Lions did last year, like Jahmyr Gibbs ran for 1,400 yards and scored 16 touchdowns. David Montgomery ran for 700 yards and scored 12 touchdowns. I think the Pats would obviously be thrilled with some type of combination there. And I don't think TreVeyon's going to come in and run for 1,400 yards. But if you have a similar setup that you have two running backs who are efficient, it's almost like the Thunder and Lightning combo. I sort of think of like the old school Tampa Bay Bucks. What was it? Was it Mike Alstott and like
Warwick Dunn?
Warwick Dunn,
yeah, right? Like it's not going to be quite like that, but like Rhamondre is built differently than TreVeyon Henderson, and I think they complement each other. That if they're both healthy, it should help the offense and it should help Drake May, more importantly, right? I think they both can catch the ball to the backfield. Rhamondre caught almost 70 passes a couple years ago. I think it's been a little bit disappointing for him, ball security and injuries. But if you're splitting time with TreVeyon at least this year as he goes through his rookie season, that could work, and I like it, and I think they should do it. Just keep both healthy, and you don't need 4 running backs from the 53. You can do it with 3, and I think that's something that could aid Drake May too. If you can have a strong run game, it should help your pass game.
What's the latest on Kyle Williams, who took a big hit on that hospital ball that Josh Dobbs threw him, and I assume Efton Chisum has made the team.
Yeah, Efton Chism, man, what a great story. Broke all of Cooper Kupp's records at Eastern Washington, and considering he's a smaller white slot receiver, I think a lot of people penciled
Love him.
The NFL draft. But he's a guy who honestly has improved. Like, he was great OTAs in the spring, and then I started training camp. I was actually kind of disappointed because he was quiet, and come like week 2, he's just. Yes. Yeah, he's made the team. He looks really, really good. I think the next step for him is to do it with some of the starters, though. Like, he's one of the few guys who haven't caught any passes from Drake May in practice. I mean, we've seen Drake, throw to Javon Baker and Jalen Polk and Kendrick Bourne, but not Efton Chism. And I wonder, going into this week, we get to still see a handful of practices that are closed to the public. I wonder if we'll see Efton with the starters. I'd love to see that. But yeah, I definitely think he's making the team. And you said Kyle Williams. We're going to talk to Mike Vrabel today at 10:15 and see if he has an update on him. It looked like a head injury, though, to me, the way he was tackled. And so we'll see. He's been another interesting one. He definitely gets separation. And it's always weird when it's like, well, he's not catching passes, but he's beating the cornerbacks. And is it because he's playing with Josh Dobbs? But they have some nice young receivers. I think it's a positive thing for the Pats to this team for so long has struggled to develop those guys, and it looks like maybe they get a good 3rd-round pick, and maybe they found an under-the-radar, undrafted gem.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to do it, if you're willing to have fun, you're not going to be a stick in the mud.
Don't you want to say Efton Chisum every Monday morning? Sit here and talk about Efton Chisum the third. Thank you.
Yes,
the third. I.
Got to root for him.
I say effing, and then you know what I said at the back of that. I put a J in.
All right. All right.
Now we're having fun.
Yeah, we're done.
We're cooking, Mark. We're cooking.
Let him cook.
Let me cook, Mark. Get out of the way. I'm doing chip.
For all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.